Crafty friends, Kim from stampingandperfection.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm making my card for the Make the Cards challenge this week. This is our third challenge, and it's a theme challenge. We're doing congratulations cards, which I thought would celebrate, so my card would work for either occasion. So I'm using this Barely Happy Birthday stamp set that I got from Sassy and Crafty. I think this is my favorite stamp set right now. I love these bears. I feel like they're grown-up bears, and they're super fun to color with your alcohol markers, and they're super fun to watercolor. So today I want to watercolor them, and I'm going to use my Karin Brushmarker Pros. So I've actually stamped this, and you saw before I used the stamp, I used my Pentel high polymer eraser just to rub across it to remove any residue from the manufacturing process, and then I just inked it up and stamped it once, and this is on watercolor paper. So I'm using my Strathmore watercolor paper. Now I pulled out 4 different shades of brown, and I decided that I would use my clear block as my palette, and I pulled out a number 4 round brush, and I'm going to do a wet on wet technique. I've played with these a little bit, like I'm just really starting to use these water brush markers, but one of the things that I discovered that I really like is to do a wet on wet technique. So, and I'm also starting out here with this number 2 brush, but I don't like this as much as the number 4, so I'll switch part of the way through. So I just like a bigger brush. So I'm going to add some water onto my image. So I am going around the back of the bear and mostly covering the body and the arms. I'm sort of ignoring the legs for right now. And then I'm going to take the darkest brown that I have pulled out, and I'm just dotting in the ink around the back and the bottom of the bear where I think it will probably be the darkest. And then I'm just going to use my brush. I wet my brush, and I'm just pulling that color through. And I'm trying to do it so there aren't any harsh lines or anything like that. And I like this is my favorite way to use these. I've tried a couple different techniques, but this is my favorite. So now I'm adding water to the feet, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'll dot in some of that color, and this time I picked the second darkest, and I'm just dropping that color in. I want there to be some color variation, so I decided I would try using a bunch of different colors besides just adding more water and pulling out the color from the darkest points to the lightest. I definitely want there to be some different colors in here. So I did get a little bit of the color in between his legs, so I'm just using my clean wet paintbrush and trying to pull that color out of there. So it's like mostly I'm just watering it down till it like fades. So the second time I did this, I actually colored 2 of these. The second time I did this, I actually used I heat embossed it in black, so that it was easier to color heat embossed in black, but I always feel like that's cheating. So, I feel like beginners can heat emboss and then watercolor, because that really does make it easier to watercolor. But if you want to, like if I want to do a quick job, then I always do the heat embossing first. So I'm just playing with my colors and, trying to pull the colors out and get a fun effect and make sure there aren't any harsh lines. And then I'm just going to add some more of the color. This is like the 3rd color, and it's more like a chestnutty brown, and I really like this color. Like once I put that on, I realize that's perfect color for this bear. So I'll be adding more of that one. And that's basically the technique I do. And I just let parts dry, add more water, add more color so I can get some darker spots and some lighter spots. So I moved on to the bunnies, and I chose 2 grays. These are cool grays. I used a darker and a lighter one, and I'm doing the same thing. I added water to the little faces and the ears, and then I dropped in some of the darker along the edge of the face and lighter along the edge of that darker color. And then I just continued on, and I also added some pink to the ears of each of the bunnies. And I really like the way those sweet little bunnies came out. This stamp set actually has 3 different bears. It's called the Barely Happy Birthday set from Sassy and Crafty, but what I think is that these bears could be used for lots of things. Like this is a bear carrying bunnies in a box, and they're super cute. Like you could use this for a spring card. I also think that there's one bunny with balloons, like congratulations or any kind of celebration whatsoever you could use him for. And then there's a sitting bear, and then of course there are party hats you can add, and lots of great sentiments. So I'm moving on to the box here, and I'm just going to use this dark purple color because it's very dark and I can pull that out easily with the water. So by wetting it, the water does a lot of the work, and then I can just pull that out to the rest of the box. So I get a darker side and a lighter side. It's almost like an ombre effect, but it gives me variation in color, and that's what I'm shooting for. I'm not shooting for perfectly shaded images. I'm practicing with these markers and playing with them to see the colors and different things that I can do with them. So, and I quite like these actually. So, if you can find them, then I feel like they're worth it. So I'm just going to color in that pink bow, and that's going to complete my little bear. So then I'll start grounding him. I use those same 2 cool grays that I used for the bunnies underneath the bear, and I just wet it down with my paintbrush where I wanted it to look like the ground, and I just dabbed in the light and the darker gray and then just pulled them out with my brush. And because I use the 2 different colors, it looks very textured, and I like the way that it looks. It looks like a roughed ground. Now I'm just adding some water around the outside of the bear, and you can see that this time I took that's Arctic blue, by the way, and I scribbled that onto my clear block. I added some water to that and watered it down on the clear block, and now I'm just dropping that into the water that I put around the bear. And I really love a blue watercolor wash around images. I just think it looks so pretty. I really like a light blue one, but it's hard to show up in a photo. So I stamped on my sentiment and heat embossed it in black, and then I cut it down to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 and put it onto a craft stock card base, and that's going to complete my card. I kept it very simple. I'll put all the links below. Please give this video a thumbs up, and if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell for notifications every time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching, friends.